Hello, my name is Kyle, and I'm a recent graduate of the PhD program in music theory at the University of Toronto. So today, Stephane and I thought it would be a good idea to do a sort of short lecture recital on the second movement of Florence Price's Piano Sonata in E minor. So I'm going to talk about the movement for a few minutes, and then he is going to play it for you. Florence Price is a composer some of you may not have heard of. She was born in Arkansas, lived in Atlanta for a while, before ultimately settling in Chicago. She composed in a variety of genres, including many songs, solo instrumental works, and 4 symphonies, one of which gained national recognition and was the first piece by a black female composer to be performed by a major orchestra. But as a black woman, she also struggled, and recognized that sexism and racism were impediments to her career. In a letter she wrote to the conductor of the Boston Symphony Orchestra, she opened by stating, quote, "I have 2 handicaps. I am a woman, and I have some Negro blood in my veins." End quote. This was obviously a tension in Price's life, and I think some of these tensions play out in her music. In this movement particularly, there is an interesting dialogue involving scale degree 6. The movement itself is in the form of a 5-part rondo, so an A section followed by a contrasting B section, a reprise of the A section, a further contrasting C section, and a final reprise of the A section. Price's biographer, Raylinda Brown, describes the A sections as, quote, "reminiscent of spirituals," end quote, while the B and C sections invoke Chopin and Schumann respectively. And what I find interesting is that in the A section, scale degree 6 is treated quite differently from the B and the C sections. The first chord you're going to hear is a C major triad, but with an added note, A. A, of course, is scale degree 6 in C major. Typically, when scale degree 6 sounds above the tonic triad, it is acting as a non-chord tone, usually a suspension that will resolve into scale degree 5, and thus clarify the hierarchical relationship between the more consonant 5th and the contextually dissonant 6th. But this doesn't happen. Its scale degree 6 instead leaps up to scale degree 1, and by behaving in this way, it takes on a more structurally independent role that is more associated with jazz and popular music than it is with common practice tonal music. This happens a few more times throughout the A section, particularly at cadences, where the chordal 9th, which is also scale degree 6, leaps upward instead of resolving down by step as a dissonance. In the B and C sections, however, scale degree 6 is treated much more typically. That is to say, it acts as a neighbor to scale degree 5 on multiple levels of structure. And so ultimately, it gets subsumed into the tonal hierarchy as a subordinate to the more salient scale degree 5. And since this is only a short talk, I wish I had more time to go into more details about this piece. There are some wonderful chromatic chords, an interesting excursion into the subtonic region, but I also need to leave time for you to actually listen to the piece. So I want to conclude by saying that these treatments of scale degree 6 and the way that they exist in dialogue with each other invoke, in my view, a sort of narrative where scale degree 6 reflects some of Price's experiences. It is not part of the dominant tonal structure, but finds a way, at least in the A sections, of making its voice heard and creating its own place in the key without subordinating itself hierarchically to scale degree 5. And the fact that that section has more jazz and spiritual connotations compared to the B and C sections that are based on Chopin and Schumann leads me to read this as a dialogue, where there is a distinct difference between how scale degree 6 functions as an independent entity in the A sections, but is subsumed into the tonal structure in the more classically oriented B and C sections. I hope this helps you listen to the piece and enjoy it more than you would otherwise. It's a very lovely movement, and I hope you enjoy Stephane's performance. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Stephane Martin Demers, and I'm in my 4th year studying classical piano in the comprehensive stream at the University of Toronto Faculty of Music. For the FMARA and FMUA's benefit concert, I'll be performing the second movement of Florence Price's Sonata in E minor. Florence Price was the first African-American woman to be considered a symphonic composer. I hope you enjoy this piece. Thank you for listening.
I hope you enjoyed Stephane's performance of the second movement of Florence Price's Piano Sonata in E minor. To conclude, if you want to learn more about Price and her work, I suggest that you read Ray Linda Brown's biography, The Heart of a Woman, The Life and Music of Florence B. Price, which is available at the U of T library. If you want to learn more about this specific movement, I'm going to be presenting a paper about it at the South Central Society for Music Theory's annual conference this year. The text of the paper is available online on the South Central Society for Music Theory's website, and if you're interested, I invite and encourage you to go and read it. Thank you for listening, and we hope you enjoyed this lecture recital.